Here.
Hamilton. Taylor. Robinson.
Here.
Baxter.
Here.
Harris. Ginn.
Here.
And Height.
Present.
A quorum is present, sir.
Thank you. If y'all all stand for Miss Ginn, say a prayer and the pledge of allegiance.
Lord, because you're the highest authority and we have important items on the agenda tonight, we're asking for your guidance for the council members to vote properly and give us unity and wisdom. And we thank you for the many projects that we've accomplished and those that are in progress and those that are in the future. And we ask for protection of our police officers, our firefighters, our emergency medical services, electrical department employees, all the city employees. And we thank you for keeping our city finances in good order through the many months of the COVID-19 pandemic and for bringing so many new businesses to our town. All good things come from you. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So moved.
Motion seconded.
On the motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting, Ross.
Yes.
Hamilton.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Baxter.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Ginn.
Yes.
And Height.
Yes.
We have one communication.
Please.
Is there a motion for the one communication? On that one communication, Ross.
Yes.
Hamilton.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Baxter.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Ginn.
Yes.
And Height.
Yes.
Okay.
Presentations.
Yes, sir. You guys want to come on in?
Are y'all hot or is it just me right now?
No,
Is it comfortable out there? Well, I mean, I'm looking at some of the ladies out there. Is it a little hot? Okay. Bill? Okay, go ahead, sir. Identify yourself, please, if you don't mind.
Evergreen complaint.
Huh? What?
We was thanking you for having the
Yeah.
air turn.
It was,
Okay.
there were
you.
some
Well,
of
I
us who
just
were,
felt,
I'm a
I
little
was
hot.
looking at some of the
you, man.
ladies out there, and I kept noticing
I'm a little
that.
hot.
So, if you don't mind, sir, identify yourself, please.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Justin Avery. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Rock Region Metropolitan Transportation Authority. Thank you, Mayor Hartwick, for allowing me to speak here. Thank
Sure.
you, City Council members. I would like to introduce just a few.
You got to move the mic.
Move the mic.
There you go, right there.
Is that loud?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I'll start over. Thank you, Mayor Hartwick. Thank you, City Council members, for allowing me to be here to present to y'all a service update for the North Little Rock Transit Service. I've got a couple of board members here today that I'd like to introduce, and then some staff members too. Our chair of the board, Nicole Hart, is here today.
Thank you, ma'am.
And Erin Parker is also here today. They are both North Little Rock representatives. So thank them for being here today. I've got two staff members here also. Joe Prokop, who is our Chief Safety Officer and Director of Major Projects, and Becca Green, who is our Director of Public Engagement. They're both here today. And then Chris Kent here from the Argenta Downtown Historic District is also here to kind of rally us behind our North Little Rock Parklet projects that I'm going to go over today too. So if you will turn your attention to the presentation on these screens here, this is just our short agenda. I'd like to give an update to the board on our North Little Rock Parklets project. It'll be a short update. I'll do a quick overview of our RIDE 2020 plan, a quick overview of our expanded and new North Little Rock microtransit zones. We'll talk some next steps in terms of that RIDE 2020 project launch. And then we're going to have Becca Green come up and talk about our public engagement recap and our outreach we've been doing to the residents of North Little Rock who are affected by these new microtransit zones. And then I'll come back up here and I'll take some Q&A and provide some answers for the city council members and the mayor if necessary.
Thank you.
As always, I'd like to start off with our mission statement at Rock Region Metro, which is to provide safe, reliable, convenient, and cost-effective transit service. And I've bolded those 4 words because all of them are important when we talk about this RIDE 2020 project launch, as well as the North Little Rock Parklets project. So a quick update on our North Little Rock Parklet project. As the board knows, or as the city council knows, we came to y'all earlier this year to discuss this project. But this is a partnership between Rock Region Metro, AMR Architects, y'all, the city of North Little Rock, and the Argenta Downtown Historic District. Just a little bit of information on what a parklet is, and I've got some pictures here too that will follow. It is a sidewalk extension that provides some public seating platforms that can convert curbside parking spaces into vibrant community spaces. This is a small, very small-scale transit-oriented development project that will improve streetcar safety in Argenta. And I bold that improve streetcar safety for the city council here because one thing I like to discuss and tell everyone is that Rock Region Metro is a partner. We have the ability to use our Federal Transit Administration grant funds and partner with cities on projects that tie specifically to public transit. And if we're able to do that, we can stretch $1 to $5, $1 million to $5 million. It's an 80% federal match and a 20% local match. And I'll get into that a little bit more when I'm discussing this parklet project here in a second. Two pictures I'd like to show the city council members. This is the west side of the project, and as you can see, it encompasses the Brood and Barley area, as well as a couple of other businesses. That is the west side. The east side, everyone knows these establishments. It will cover the area from Crush Wine Bar, Skinny J's, and all the way down to Reno's. These are, again, just some mock-ups. Once we, of course, start this project in late August, early September, we'll be providing some updates to the city council members once that project has started. I like to point this out to the city council members, and this is why I stress we're able to stretch our FTA dollars so far. This is a total project cost for these parklets of $213,436. It is only costing the city of North Little Rock $35,000, which is roughly a 16% local match there. So again, the majority of our federal funds require a 20% local match. In this case, Chris Ken and the Argenta Downtown Historic District has committed to $7,688 of the project, which leaves the remaining local match requirement from the city of North Little Rock to only be $35,000. And again, I stress the importance of our ability to stretch these FTA funds for infrastructure needs, any project that can tie directly to transportation mobility, safety, infrastructure, those things. Please keep Rock Region Metro in mind because we have a pot of federal funds that we can use for specific projects such as this. And I'll go back one more time. The updated project line, just to give the board or the city council just a little bit of an update there. Construction is expected to start in late August or early September. And again, I'll keep each one of y'all updated and the mayor updated on the progress of that project. Okay, today we'd also like to discuss our RIDE 2020 project. I'm going to first start with an overview of what the RIDE 2020 project was. Everyone likes acronyms, but of course we've got to spell out exactly what the acronym means. So RIDE stands for Route Innovation, Development, and Evaluation. One thing this RIDE 2020 project did was it reimagined the fixed route network, which had not undergone a major change in 33 years at that time. In this process, we used a data-driven evaluation of our existing service and performance, market conditions, consumer expectations, and future financial opportunities and transit needs. We also developed creative, effective, and achievable recommendations to address community mobility needs, grow ridership, and position Metro for long-term financial sustainability. Throughout this process in this RIDE 2020 project, ultimately we had three outputs. The first was to provide an efficient and effective fixed route network design in multiple scenarios. And so we had three scenarios we worked with our consultants. The main one I'm going to touch on today is our cost-neutral network scenario, and then the 10% budget increase network scenario, and then, of course, the unfunded full build network scenario that we won't discuss today, but it was an output of the project. It also provided us with an equitable local partner funding contribution matrix. It updated the matrix so that costs for North Little Rock were only paid for by North Little Rock, costs for Little Rock were only paid by Little Rock, and costs for Pulaski County were only paid by Pulaski County. And ultimately, it allowed us and provided us with a clear process for adding new partners. So currently, we're in conversations with Jacksonville and Sherwood and the city of Conway, and the cost of that service will not impact the city of North Little Rock or any of our other major primary funding partners. The cost-neutral plan ultimately modified our existing operating services. It helped streamline and realign many of our routes in the network based on established guiding principles and trade-offs, and it replaced low-performing services with more cost-effective alternatives, one of those being microtransit, which I will go into here shortly, and the 3 expanded and new North Little Rock microtransit zones that were launched on June 20th. And this was a soft launch because ultimately we made no changes to our current fixed route system. All we did is offer expanded and enhanced service to the citizens, to the residents of North Little Rock. I want to briefly talk about some microtransit benefits here. It is a technology-driven and demand response service. Riders are familiar with an interface that we have on our app because it looks identical or almost identical to Uber and Lyft apps. And if individuals do not have access to a smartphone, they can get or take or book phone reservations, which is also possible. It also has a dedicated fleet of vehicles that are much smaller than your 40-foot buses that you typically see for the fixed route system. And it is also a data-rich platform, which is very useful for future planning. So we're able to adapt and change these services as needed based on this data that we get from the app and from our own internal platforms. And ultimately, it provides access to the fixed route system. That's the main point of microtransit service, is to provide that on-demand access to our entire fixed route system. I'm going to talk about the 3 North Little Rock microtransit zones, the Shorter College and Dixie zone, which is an expanded zone. It was already a zone, but we expanded it out to the Dixie edition. The McAlmont zone, which is a new zone, and the Levy-Amboy zone, which is also a new zone. You can see here on the screen, and I believe each of you has brochures. Yeah, I think each of you has brochures, so you can open that up and really dig into what these points are. Microtransit zone in Shorter College. Again, initially, it only encompassed the Shorter College area, and then on June 20th, we extended that out to the Dixie zone and the Dixie Addition neighborhood there. It provides access, you can see on the southern half there, to the Route 18, which is the McAlmont route. That also goes up and connects to the 10 route, and you'll see that here in a second in the McCain Walmart. Points of interest, just a little bit of information for what points of interest are is microtransit works, again, much like Uber and Lyft. It allows you to take a ride anywhere within that zone. So specifically for the Shorter College and Dixie zone, you can take a ride anywhere within that zone to any point that's also located within that zone. However, you could also take a ride outside of that zone to what we call a point of interest. And the Shorter College Dixie zone has 3 points of interest. The River Cities Travel Center, which again connects it to the entire fixed route system, the North Little Rock City Services Building, and Willow and Pershing, which is one of our major transfer spots here in North Little Rock. That again allows it to connect to the entire fixed route system. The second zone we incorporated was the McAlmont zone. This was a new zone. And you can see up there on the screen and on your brochures, it provides a 1-seat ride to Walmart. Over there on the left-hand side, you can see the interlining of the 10 and the 18. It provides a 1-seat trip to Walmart, which then again connects you to the 18 or the 10. And it includes, in this zone, it actually includes 2 elementary schools, Harris and Meadow Park, and the Fairfax Crossing apartments. So this area, again, is surrounded currently by the Route 18 in McAlmont, and it allows you to transfer over there and provides access to the McCain Walmart area, which also gets you, again, to ride the Route 10 in McCain. And right there you can see the 1 point of interest for the McAlmont zone is Walmart, so it provides access to Walmart for those residents, for those individuals. The final zone I want to talk about here is the Levy-Amboy zone. Originally, when we went through our Ride 2020 plan, we had planned on removing the Route 4, but from feedback, we've got a lot of feedback from riders and our own operators And that feedback stated that this route was heavily used to get to jobs early in the morning and later in the afternoon. And so what we determined was that we were going to keep the Route 4 there and turn it into express route that would allow individuals AM peak and PM peak rides to and from in our fixed route system. You can see up there that the zone encompasses a lot of North Little Rock, and there are a couple of points of interest that allow individuals to not only connect to the remaining routes of our fixed route system, but some other major points of interest such as Burns Park Hospitality House, the North Little Rock Justice Center, and the JFK and McCain transfer point, which is one of our busiest transfer points in the system. Just real quick, I want to talk about some next steps because ultimately expanding these microtransit zones was step one of the process. Step two of the process will take some time. We are short on fixed route operators. I'm sure there are businesses that y'all know and that you've heard this before, that we are in a hiring crunch and we're having issues recruiting and even retaining fixed route operators who are required to have a commercial license. So in summer 2022, we had informal neighborhood meetings in Little Rock and North Little Rock for these microtransit zones. In June 2022, the launch occurred, and we continued to have these neighborhood meetings and the public outreach, and Becca will talk a little bit more about that here in a second. Sometime in late 2022, but most likely in 2023, I'm not going to make promises, we will be able to fully staff our fixed route service and our paratransit service and implement these budget-neutral changes to the fixed route system. And before that happens, we will come back to the City Council and do an update on what those changes look like and how they'll affect the residents here in North Little Rock. So now I'd like to turn it over to Becca Green, who will do our public engagement recap.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Mayor, members of the council. 5 slides and then we're done. So I'll be quick. As we talked about, the RIDE 2020 project was actually kicked off in late 2019. So some of the plan input that we collected was from pre-pandemic time period. In 2019, we did a comprehensive customer satisfaction survey, and we also did an origin and destination survey. So unlike the microtransit service, which is all software-based and it's capturing where you're starting out on your trip and where you're ending up, via the software, that's not necessarily captured when you get on one of our fixed route buses. So we actually had a survey team who went and asked people, where did you come from? Do you mind sharing your address, your starting address? Where were you going? So we could determine how people were using the system and where they were traveling from and where they were traveling to. We also engaged, and some of you may remember this because I think some of you were involved, in a series of meetings in January 2020 where we did major outreach to community groups, neighborhood associations, libraries, where we had public meetings and asked people lots of different questions about what they wanted to see. We had interactive processes that they could go through to see what they valued most about their transit system, whether it was frequency or weekend service or whatever it was. We also did a 30-day comment period in July and August of 2020. To advertise all the public meetings that we had, we put cards on buses, we put cards down at the travel center, which is the only station that we have in our entire system. We also have a dedicated web landing page, and you can still go to that page, so that's up for anybody to read through. We also did a lot of social media posts and e-newsletter and did extensive outreach to institutions and neighborhood association representatives. As Justin said, we've been phasing this because we were experiencing a number of different delays, and some of those delays are for different reasons. We did implement some of the microtransit zones that you see today as emergency temporary service while we were limiting people on the buses, and we didn't know how coronavirus was spread at the beginning of the pandemic. And then we've had different things going on. We've looked at potentially procuring some different software to use in the future for microtransit service. There's a lot of companies out there that do this, and some of them have different pros and cons for using different services. We've also had multiple COVID-19 variant waves, and tight labor market, as Justin said, supply chain issues, and some turnover in some key staff who help with service launch planning. But we landed on these 2 phases. As Justin said, it's a soft launch for the microtransit zones, and it's a soft launch because we're going back and we're looking at who we spoke with in particular 2 years ago and making sure that they're still the neighborhood association president, or who inviting them back to meetings, asking them if they have any questions, teaching them how to use the app, things like that. Again, Shorter College had some service. It was a temporary emergency service, but as of 3 weeks ago, it's now the Shorter College Dixie Zone, so it's newer to the people from the Dixie Edition. We also had the Levy-Amboy Zone and the McCalmont Zone, and then we're still adapting some stops along the way. So, for example, if you're at a school and we are dropping off one of your employees at your school, we want to make sure that we're not driving right into your car rider line, for example, and messing up anything on your school campus with the flow. So we're making little adjustments like that as we go along. Again, the fixed route service launch date is TBD and dependent on our hiring goals, but it's also still subject to the pandemic. I just want to remind everyone that we still are. Hopefully we're coming out of it, but we're still in the middle of the pandemic, and even as I speak, we've had people in recent caseloads have been high, and we've had people on our own staff, and I'm sure you've experienced this as well as at your own workplaces who have been out with COVID. So we're working our way through that. And right now, as we're working our way through that, we are also working on route schedules and stops and stop amenities. But as always, we get requests about things like that throughout the year. So if you guys want to share any particular areas of concern with us, please feel free to do so, and we'll give you our contact information so you can do that. So some of the strategies that we've had along the way to inform the public are obviously visiting with elected officials, neighborhood groups, institutions, and rider outreach. Another strategy is to make sure all of our materials are updated as we go through all these changes and engage in direct rider outreach. So some of the tactics that we're using are technology, updating our website, doing e-news, social media, using our service alert system to get the word out. Also our signage, the fleet decals. Justin mentioned the van. You may have seen them around town. They're smaller vehicles. They're smaller than the big buses, but they say Metro Connect on the side, and that's how you know that they're a microtransit vehicle. And working on stop signs, things like that, and shelter signs, especially when we start to change the bus route. Some of these shelters will serve not only just bus routes, but also if they're an appropriate place where you can stop a smaller vehicle, they'll serve microtransit as well. We've also been engaging in direct outreach with neighborhood associations and businesses. For when we launch the fixed route changes, we'll have day of helpers on our team who help station in particularly high ridership locations, helping people get to where they need to go. And we've been working on the brochures that you have in front of you, maps, and also setting up some trainings. In fact, we're talking about North Little Rock today, but we also have the Veterans Center off Financial Parkway that I'm surely some of your residents visit, and that is now in the expanded John Bearer Road zone over in Little Rock. So we're helping to set up a training to show all those veterans who use that building. There's a lot of services that they do there, and they need to be able to get there, and we'll show them how to use the app. Or dial in if they want. And I put this last photo in there to just say that there's nothing quite like using the system yourself. So I'll just quickly recap some of the outreach we've been doing with neighborhoods here recently. This is a photo of Angela Bernard. She is the president of the Amboy Neighborhood Association, and then also Angela Person-West, who's on the North Little Rock School District Board. She's here today with us. And she was kind enough to ride with us on Saturday, and we took a ride in the Levy-Amboy Zone. We went from the Burns Park Hospitality House to the JFK Walgreens, and then walked across and had a cup of coffee at Starbucks and visited about transit and education, and then came back. And so we had a good little trip. There's nothing like getting on the system yourself to learn about it. We encourage you to do that. The brochure that's in front of you has a how-to, an extensive how-to section. But if you're having trouble with the app or whatnot, we can certainly help you with that. Not only have we done on ride-alongs, but we've distributed these brochures at all of the North Little Rock community centers that are within all the zones, at the Senior Citizen Center at Seis Puentes. I've attended the Amboy Ice Cream Social and had a lot of good feedback from the neighborhood residents who were there. Today, we dropped off, right before this meeting, some brochures with the McCalmont Concerned Citizens Group that meets at one of the churches in McCalmont with Flo Wiley. So she's helping us with that. We have a meeting on Wednesday with the UA Pulaski Technical College team. They have a fair agreement with us anyway, and we want to make sure they know if their students are living in some of these zones that they can use these zones in this service to get to the school campus and make connections to Route 13. We've talked to the pastor at New Zion Grove Baptist. We have some meetings coming up with the Dixie CDC group next week, with the Dark Hollow Neighborhood Association, with Belinda, the president, who set that up. And then we're meeting with the the Levy group on August the 1st. So that's just some of the, and we're still taking brochures out. I had a great meeting with Seis Puentes this afternoon, and they're getting me in touch with a couple more people. So if you know of anyone who's interested in having some brochures at their location, let me know, and we'll be happy to get them to them.
Thank you. I'm going to open it up to some questions right now, if you don't mind, Justin. If you'll come up here. Questions from the council people? Ms. Robinson?
Currently, in the Dark Hollow and Sherman Park area, you have the micro transit, which has been in place for 2 years. It's been in place for 2 years.
Yes.
Would you say that program has been successful?
I would say it's undetermined right now. I think we need to go out and do some outreach with the individuals in that area. I would say we've had great success at Shorter College. I think the ridership shows that. While I don't have the ridership with me, it is something that I've looked up the past couple of days, especially since we expanded out to the Dixie Addition neighborhood. Although that doesn't necessarily affect the Shorter College area, I have seen the statistics, and the ridership there is very good compared to expectations.
Well, Shorter College itself has some issues with this system. And I noticed that you are expanding it. So to me, you should have some successes if you're going to expand. So I'm assuming that you all feel like the Sherman Park, which you all call Shorter College, the Sherman Park and Dark Hollow area, you probably feel has been a success. However, the people in those areas have not been satisfied with the service. And I know that one of the leaders from Dark Hollow, when you all were deciding on this, attended your meetings and voiced their concerns and voiced the impact that they felt this would have on their community. And so for 2 years, public transportation as we know it, and that's the key word, as we know it, the big buses. So for 2 years, this has changed to what the Lyft drivers, but, and I say Lyft, but you know, that's because for your micro transit drivers. So for 2 years, these communities, you know, have mentioned, which they said to me a month ago, that they've had some real issues. Now, grant you've just been in place now for 6 months. So all the problems that occurred, you know, prior to you taking place, you may not be aware of it, but the people have not been satisfied. Now, y'all, this is my point. 2021, we gave Rock Region $2.9 million. 2020, we probably gave them $2-point-something million. So for 2020 and 2021, they probably have gotten from us a total of $5 million. I am not against public transportation. I rode public transportation all over Pulaski County for 20 years, so I'm very familiar with the areas. But what I like to see, with us giving out that kind of money, I would like for them to turn in to us, since he's only been in place for 6 months, effective July 2023, a report to be on file here for review. Now, us requiring them to give us a report is not unusual, because if we give somebody $30,000, they have to submit a report. And so I would like for Rock Region, starting July 2023, to submit to us a written report of our 2.8, 2.9 million, whatever we decide to give to them. My next thing is, the people in Sherman Park have missed the public transportation as they know it, because they went from having a bus every hour or every other hour to on demand. And one of the things that someone said to me with this demand, and I'll ask you, if they're in Sherman Park and something happens, are they able to get that demand, or how far in advance do they have to call in for the service?
Yeah, so again, it's all based on an algorithm based on demand and the rides booked before that. But the average wait time right now is set at about 30 minutes. And so 30 minutes compared to, again, a fixed route that would come around either every hour, as you said, every other hour.
So they can call, if they have something to occur, they can call that same day and call you all and get a ride.
Yes, or book it on the app. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now, looking at your paperwork, the people in Glenview, believe it or not, have depended on Central Arkansas Transit or Rock Region. Currently, we have people who work at Coppers ride that bus in the evenings to go home. We have a lady who has a husband from time to time, is in the VA hospital, and she drives her car to Glenview, parks it, and catches the bus. We have people from Propho Manor Apartments, which is considered Glenview, which is not on this McAlmont Connect, that walks to the bus line and catch a ride. So with your new system, will the people in Glenview have access to this service?
So currently, Glenview is served by Route 18, the McAlmont route. Again, yes, City Council Robinson, yes, it is not included in the McAlmont microtransit zone. But the great thing about the microtransit service is you're able to adapt and change that service very easily, unlike a fixed route system. And it only affects one city, unlike it used to affect all of our funding partners in our old funding matrix. So when the fixed route changes occur, they will not have direct access, at least that end of the route there will not serve them anymore. However, what we can look at, and I think this is great for that community, is to expand that microtransit zone to include the Glenview area so they have direct access again to the Route 18 McAlmont.
Well, let me tell you this, because I know my community. There are more people that ride that bus from the Glenview area than Meadow Park. So I noticed that you have Meadow Park Elementary on here. And what made you all cut Glenview out and add Meadow Park Elementary? Because, you know, we got a school in Glenview too. We got a recreation center in Glenview too. We have industries in Glenview too. So explain to me how you cut Glenview out.
So part of this study was, again, to look at efficiencies on our fixed route system. While I don't have a picture here today, I'd be happy to send that to the City Council and show what the Route 18 looks like currently. It essentially works like a figure 8, and so it's moving through neighborhoods and never coming back on the same route that it went. And this caused some issues with our riders. So we streamlined that service. However, we need to provide some additional access to those areas that no longer have the Route 18 when we launch our new fixed route design. And so that's something we can certainly look at. And again, it all goes back to the flexibility that microtransit allows us. With the microtransit service, we're able to move it around, expand the zones without truly hurting any travel time for our customers.
Let me ask a question too. First off, but do you have current numbers? I know Councilperson Robinson asked for something in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
We go to budget here in the next 2 or 3 months. So is there something we might put our teeth into before we start budgeting for for next year?
Yeah, I can do year-to-date numbers on the
Okay,
shorter
remember-
college
We okay with
zone. However, again, these other zones weren't expanded until June 20th, so we're going to have very limited information on those. But we can certainly do that as we get closer to the budget time
yeah.
to provide that ridership information, on-time performance, all different kinds of KPIs.
I got one question too. You got any more questions, Mrs. Robinson?
Oh, I will, but you go
Okay,
ahead.
just real fast. All right, I live at 310 Mill Street in North Little Rock, Arkansas, which is Rose City. I want to catch what would I catch to get to North Little Rock High School?
You can catch the 18 there. You would have to walk a little bit of a distance, a few blocks, but you can catch it from Rose City, the 18.
So
That will then
tell me,
travel back down to the
again, I don't
travel
live
center.
there anymore. I'm using my old address when I was growing up, so I just use that. So if I was trying, the kids out in that area trying to get to school every morning, if they missed the bus something, or if I worked someplace, so what's 18? Tell me what.
That's the McAlmont route.
So I'd have to get
You'd have to
from-
go north, yeah, and I don't know exactly where that address is
It's
in
right-
North
it-
Little Rock, but if it's in Rose City,
Yeah, it
the
is.
general direction, you could take, yeah, you can go
So
up
if I
north
live
and
on Mill
grab the
Street,
18.
you go up Adkins Street, you go past Water, Healy, get all those in K
Mm-hmm.
Street, and then there's Mill Street. I'm just using that because I'm familiar. So if I
Yep.
live in that area, how do I get to the high school?
You'd
so
have
what-
to catch the 18,
And
which
how do I
would be a
get
bit of
to
a walk.
18? That's
Yeah.
my question. Where is 18?
You'd have to, that's the McAlmont route. I'll show you the picture here. At least it's not all of it, but down here at the southern part of this,
So I-
touchscreen.
Okay, so we've got a lot of teaching going on. Sounds like we need to probably teach people.
We can
about where
certainly
to go.
do that,
Okay.
absolutely, yeah, and we'd absolutely be willing to do
More
that.
questions then? I'll shut up and listen. Ms. Ross, if you don't mind, first.
No, I'm glad I was confused because when you say McAlmont zone, McAlmont's not in North Little Rock.
That's correct, yes.
Right.
So, this is, the portion that you're showing is not in North Little Rock. So there's a longer, that goes down further into Rose City, is that what you're saying?
No, but the Route 18 does. Route 18 goes south of that. That's what I was talking about. The individual, whoever lives in Rose City, could walk and catch the 18, but that's the closest bus route, fixed route bus route.
Okay. So, the city portions are based on their census numbers, I'm assuming. Is that correct? How our proportions are, the funding from
The
every
funding, no,
city?
the funding is based on a contribution matrix, and so it's based on service miles,
Okay.
vehicle revenue miles, and vehicle revenue hours.
Okay,
It's put
so-
into a formula, and so North Little Rock only pays for its own vehicle revenue miles and hours, and not Little Rock's.
So, because you mentioned, the two schools out in McAlmont. So the city of North Little Rock's not being charged for those, are they? Any portion of McAlmont, are we?
The city of Little, no, if they're outside the city limits, then it's a Pulaski County.
Okay, I
yes.
just want to make sure that we weren't
A
paying for
very small,
McAlmont.
again, the 18 does run the majority of the time in North Little Rock. However, what we're showing here
Okay, I just want to
does,
make
yeah.
sure that was county, that
Right,
wasn't
right.
being charged enough funding. Okay, so another thing too, that, you were talking about, I think Becca was talking about that the engagement period was July and August of 2020. That was right when the pandemic was kicking up. So not as many people were getting out, not as many people were riding the bus. So I'm just curious on the feedback that you got. Huh?
Did you say 2022 is the engagement?
No, 2020. This
2020.
process
Right
started
the
in
middle of the
2019.
pandemic. So,
I thought could you go to the screen real quick?
Now, we are doing 2022 outreach right now.
right.
Oh,
But when they
Yes,
did
I think
it
that's what
initial,
you're
they did
referring
it
to.
in the
Yes, we
highlight.
continue to do our outreach, especially since our
Right.
soft launch on
No,
the
it was right,
20th.
you were doing your surveys and your questionnaires right in the middle of the pandemic, and people were not getting out, and they weren't riding the buses, and they weren't going to the doctor like they should have, because, we just weren't getting out. So I was just curious, is updating that, so you'll be doing that in '23, another update on that?
Yeah, so each year, we annually review our services for performance, the needs of our customers, all of those aspects. And so we do an annual review. We typically do an annual service enhancement. And so we'll be doing that in 2023, as well as every year after that, just to evaluate our performance of our routes, our microtransit zones, and things like that.
Okay, so, and I was at the Dark Hollow meeting with you at their last meeting, so, we had the gentleman there was talking about that he had to, that's why I don't know if was he talking about he takes the microtransit and then he has to go to Little Rock to change and then he's got to take something else to get back, or is that what he was talking about, the
Well,
microtransit?
in the shorter college, it allows you to connect to a few points of interest. I believe he was discussing the River Cities Travel Center, but you could also get to the North Little Rock City Services Building and then Willow and Pershing, which is a North Little Rock major transfer hub we have too. So there are multiple options. I think that specific individual had concerns about taking a microtransit van, going down to the travel center, and then connecting to the rest of the route. But that is a part of public transit. It was a part of public transit even with our fixed route system. There were a lot of transfers, and especially at the River Cities Travel Center. So that's a pretty normal thing for public transit here in Central Arkansas. But again, if there are issues or there are performance issues like that, that's something we could always reevaluate and then adjust the zone accordingly.
Okay, so I guess what I'm getting at is in the microtransit, it sounds like, kind of like Uber, Lyft, whatever. But basically what it does, it picks you up and takes you to the transfer station. Is that correct?
Yeah, it
Does
can
it pick you up and take you to the doctor? Does it pick you up and take you to the
If
hospital?
it picks you up anywhere within that zone, it takes you anywhere within that zone, but it also can take you to those points of interest, which is why we've determined
to
what those
go
points.
out of
So
the
you can
zone.
reach so you can
you've got to go
connect
to the
easier to the fixed route system.
Right, so it only takes you within that zone.
Right, but you could also for example, Shorter College here, you could take a ride in the north area of that and connect to the 18 down there and then go to McCain Walmart and connect to the 10 if you want to.
Right, and
It's
then
going to connect you to fixed routes.
Okay, so when it connects you, I mean, do you know how long of a wait you're going to have? Is there a long wait for the next one? So if they, you take the microtransit and like you said, you go to Walmart, is that all on their smartphone or how do they know or?
Yeah, so
How do you plan
so
anything is what
it's
I'm trying to
planning.
say.
Planning's
How do you
key.
plan?
Yes, that's the word. Planning is key. So if you're going to take microtransit, you need to be able to plan and hit one of the areas on 18, Route 18, McAlmont, to make sure you connect to it in time. So microtransit will give you a pretty accurate idea of when your vehicle is going to pick you up, and you'll know exactly how long it'll take you to get to that south border there on the Shorter College area. You can connect to the 18 and line it up with the schedule of the 18. Or ultimately, you can go to the travel center, which connects you to every single route we have.
I just, one more thing, and I know that, when you were doing your surveys and your census and everything, Eastgate, it's no longer Eastgate, there was no one living there. And now, and then the bus was taken away because they didn't have the ridership, and now it's rebuilt. And so that's something you'll look at in '23, or is that something you're currently looking at now again?
That's something we could absolutely look at that now. The changes will probably occur in 2023 when we do our annual service enhancements. But that's something we'll absolutely take into consideration.
Right, because there's a lot of people down there that's really missing their bus right now.
Absolutely.
Any more questions?
I do.
Mr. Gann? Wait a minute. I think Maurice was first, and I'll come back to you if you don't, Mr.
Justin Avery.
I'm a real simple guy, and so I'm at the address that he gave you. I'm in Rose City, and I have to get to the school, North Little Rock High School. How do I get there?
You're gonna have to walk a bit. You're gonna have to walk a bit of a distance and connect
Okay,
to the 18.
whoa.
North,
How-
east, west.
Hold
It'll be
on.
west, north or west.
Well, what's a bit of a distance? A mile?
Again, I don't know the exact location. Rose City is. I
Gotta
mean, it
walk-
could be half a mile.
So I have
Yeah,
to
it
walk
could
to
be
East
4 or
Broad-
5 blocks.
I have to walk to East Broadway?
Yeah, you can walk to East Broadway. You
Okay,
can walk
so-
north up. Yeah.
Okay, so I get to Broadway, now what?
You got to time it.
Yeah, you can connect to our fixed route system that then will take you back towards North Little Rock High School, or take you to the travel center again. That could connect to the rest of the system.
So 18 is gonna take me to where?
18 could take you all the way up to the McCain Walmart. This is just a part of 18. Again, we do not have the entire new fixed route design showing. But that's where the 18 ends. It also goes down south. You can see the little bit of the route here that goes down. Goes through Glenview and then rides along on, 70? Yes,
Okay.
rides along there. There's 18. There's the end of 18.
So the end of
I do
18
not have all the slides to show you
I
all
get-
of 18,
Well,
unfortunately.
I get that, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so I get to the end of 18, now what do I do?
Well, the end of 18 will take you to the travel center. 18, you can hop off there, also where it meets the 10. That's over here, right here. 10
Yeah.
will take you right to North Little Rock High School.
Straight up.
Straight up. McCain.
Name.
Maine. It's the McCain route, sorry. Maine.
Wait a minute, I've got to stop. I've got to go this way first. If you look, Mr. Taylor? Mr. Gann?
Mr. Avery, is there a cost difference between the fixed route and this Metro Connect?
No, it's $1.35, and you could get a transfer on the microtransit that transfers you to the fixed route system. So it's a
the
total of
transfer is
$1.40.
a nickel? Is that what you
Yep,
said?
5 cents.
Is it for every transfer or just that one transfer?
The transfers typically have a time limit. We also got a multi-transfer depending on where you're transferring to. But yeah, 5 cents will get you to transfer from one bus to another.
Okay.
That's good. And the other thing is, do you have any plans to do electric buses?
Yeah, we received a grant last year, a $5 million grant, and we will be purchasing the region's first electric battery vehicles. Those will be in 2023, hopefully the first quarter.
No, they won't. No, they
I'll
won't.
be right about that.
I'm telling you, they're
They've
not.
already pushed it back 3 months, so.
Yeah, I'm understanding what
And
you're
I
going
expect
through.
more.
Yes. One more question to Ms. Robinson, and let's do this after y'all get through. I'm going to have you probably come back and see us, because it looks like we've got more questions. So if I could beg you
problem.
to, Ms. Ross first?
Just a quick question. So back to Councilmember Taylor's question, you're going to the school. How long does that take you to get
Yeah,
to
that's
school?
my next question.
From Rose City, it'd probably take you, I don't have the exact time. It'll probably take you an hour, 45 minutes.
But that's not counting your walk in that
It'd
half
probably,
mile?
yeah, counting your walk, yeah.
Counting your
Yeah,
walk.
because the 18 is ultimately going to connect you to the 10 pretty quickly.
Ms. Robinson?
Well, what I want to reiterate to Rock Region tonight is that the people in Sherman Park, and you all call it Shorter College, but we that live in the area, we call it Sherman Park. Shorter College just so happens is located there. But the people in Sherman Park are not happy with your current micro-transit system. And once again, I'm not against riding the bus. I rode it for 20 years all over the city. So I'm very familiar with the bus. I probably rode the bus more than some of your staff or directors. But for the money that we give you, I want a report. I want a breakdown. I want to know, and it's important. So I'm sharing and I'm explaining and saying to my fellow council members, they need to give us a report as to what they're doing with taxpayers' money.
Let me do this then.
Like
Mr.
one comment,
Mr. Hamilton? One
Sure.
more.
I agree with Councilmember Robinson on the importance of public transportation. I think we do not spend enough money at all on public transportation. My introduction began with Mayor Smith, who spent a decade on the board and said there is no other agency that does more with less than, at that time, Central Arkansas Transit. Running fixed routes costs money. Running on-demand service costs money. You guys don't have an endless budget. Transfers are a fact of life in any public transportation or city that has public transportation. Planning ahead is a fact of life. So I was interested in this microtransit issue during the budget process last year. And so I decided that I wanted to try it out because the members of Dark Hollow, my ward, were complaining about the fact that they lost a fixed bus route. So I called up Becca, thank you very much, and told her, explain to me what this is, I'm gonna try it out. She was gracious to give me a month pass, and I used that time. I got on the bus, luckily there's a stop literally a half block from my house on McCain. And I rode that down to my work, down in downtown North Little Rock. According, I just checked my notes, it took me 14 minutes to ride that fixed bus route down there. And then from there, I walked over to the transfer station and got a ride into Dark Hollow. I knocked on Mrs. Burney's door, and we talked about it. And I tried to explain how this new on-demand system actually got me to her curb. We had to talk about it, and then I called the on-demand service again and got a ride back to City Services Building, where I walked to my job, which is luckily downtown. I did that on a number of occasions. One time, went out to West Little Rock. That took me almost 2 hours. That's not an efficient use of public transportation. And because of the suburbs, that's one reason why we are car reliant, for sure. $1.35 for on-demand service is one of the most efficient uses of public transportation that I can imagine. Now, I'll be honest, I want huge buses taking 60 people on a trip. That would be fantastic. But you want transfers and you want, long routes. Move to New York City, where the subway includes 5 different transfers to go from one part of the town to the other. Those things are a part of life, and I am incredibly grateful for Rock Region Metro trying to do more with less and really considering some areas of town where most of their ridership comes from and providing on-demand service, which is half the time that other buses take to get there. Instead of 1 hour, you're doing 30 minutes. And my 1 month of riding the bus was eye-opening, and I encourage anyone else to do it. And I know that I voted for that budget the past 2 years, and it was unanimous, so I know every other council member voted to approve that money as well.
Anything else from the council? Here's what I'm going to ask you if you don't mind, okay? We go to budget pretty soon, and there's going to be a bunch of other questions. Why don't you just give us a month and maybe the first, let's give it maybe second council meeting in August, and let's see what, you're going to give us some updates, I think you said.
Yeah,
Is that a
absolutely.
good time frame? So let's look at second council meeting in August, see if there's other questions that we can address. I agree with Nathan, I agree with Linda, I agree with Maurice. There's no ideal situation, but I think the biggest thing I'm hearing is it's not understandable to some extent. And I know you don't know where 310 Mill Street, I just used it. I'm just saying, how far would I have to walk to get to a bus? And I think that's a question we need to ask. And if you're saying, well, it's up to East Broadway, well, when it's 22 degrees outside, we need to probably sit there and go, okay, is that something we ask a lady who's going to do work at maybe Dillard's? So I'm just saying, I'm not against it. I think public education, I'm like you, I rode the bus all my life. But let's get the questions answered now, get your input, and how can we make it better, and let's make it understand so when people call us and say, I am 55 years old, and I've got to walk a mile to catch a bus, and it's 25 degrees outside, what am I going to do then? And that's the questions I think we need to address. And I see Nicole out there, and I see other people out here in the audience who want those same questions. How far am I going to have to get to catch a bus? Now, I know in Nathan's situation, he's back and forth up Main Street to some extent. But if you're in, I don't understand 18. But let's do this. Let's take this time, give us the last council meeting in August so we can get some more questions. We'll submit them to you, and maybe we make this explanation a little easier on everybody. Does that make sense? Because I think this came to us real fast this time.
Mayor,
Yes?
that would be August 22nd. Would you consider maybe starting that prior to the meeting, like at 5:30?
Yeah, I'd almost want to. If we could do it maybe 5:30, something like that. Because I like for people to get home or get off work. So you okay with that? We give
Yeah,
you
that's
that 30
perfect. We'll bring some brochures and stuff for our fixture out here.
And
in
if
North
we
Little
don't
Rock.
get any questions from the council, I'll tell you right off the bat. I think the best thing is like Nate said, we've got a great service. On the other hand, it's the education of how far do I really have to do, and some of the questions that's being asked to some of our council members. Is that okay with y'all? Everybody okay with that? So 5:30, the second council meeting in August, questions come to us. I'll submit them to you, Justin, okay, so we know what's going on, and maybe the map will be a little more explanation.
Yeah,
So,
we'll provide more information for sure. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council
anything for
members.
anybody else? Let's go forward. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Thank y'all very much. I'm going to have one on Pedlets next time too, Chris. All right, guys. Thank y'all. Let's go forward, please.
Speaker about that?
That'd be Diane.
Here.
What?
Mr. McDaniel has signed up, but I don't know if he wanted to say anything.
You got 3 minutes then, please, sir.
Okay.
Okay, Rocky, please.
Last Friday, I decided to ride the bus after I come here last time. I called, they put me on hold, laid the phone down. They said I was a third caller, and I waited, and they laid it down. I could hear them talking, doing transfers. Finally, they reached over and took the phone, hung it up. So I called back, And this time, I was the fourth caller, so I held it another 20 minutes. And this time, they just answered it and laid it down, hung it back up. I wanted to know what time the bus was going to run. They don't have the schedules posted like they used to. Never did get an answer. So I called the main bus company and got the supervisor sent over to the bus stop. He came out, we took my phone, we called, and they hung up on him. And so I asked him to file the report and give it to his director, which he said he didn't have it tonight. He didn't get the report, but he's going to look into that. They only have one person there on the phone. I'm sure she was busy. The other thing is, I rode the bus today. Matter of fact, went out to Baptist Hospital and it broke down. I was there an hour. I'm waiting on the next bus to come. And then the other bus I caught to McCain Mall, it was nasty and filthy. It had more trash and garbage on it than you ever seen. And the lady, I asked the driver, I said, where's all this come from? The windows look like they hadn't been cleaned in a week. You should be sanitizing on account of the virus. She said the help's not showing up to do it, and we haven't done it. So they got more problems than just that. And I took a survey. Asked everybody on the bus, how many people have a cell phone? Who don't have one? See how many hands raised their hand. They cannot do the Metro system without a cell phone or some kind of computer system. Some of them just have the government service where it's data, no data on it. It's just telephone and text. And a lot of them don't have but one phone in the family, and they swap it around them. So everybody don't have a phone. Everybody don't have the internet where they're talking about the Metro Connect. So I don't think that'll work. People are used to the bus going down the main thoroughfares, Broadway, JFK, different places. You have to walk a ways. I know that. It's always
Rocky,
been that way.
Rocky, do me a favor. I understand what you're
Okay.
saying, if you don't mind. Submit your questions. We'll have this meeting 5:30 at the State Council meeting in August, and you can address all that. Fire me if you don't mind. Thank you for your time. All right, thank y'all. Let's go forward.
Unfinished business, O2243, Councilmember Taylor. And we're good. We are.
They're good. It's good. Call it.
An ordinance rezoning property located at 1710 West 18th Street in the city of North Little Rock from R3 to R4 zoning classification by amending ordinance number 9263, adopting an amended land use plan for the subject property. And this is the third and final reading.
So move.
Second.
There's a motion second.
So that's the motion and the second to adopt. On the motion, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Ginn?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Ginn?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
O2252, Councilmember Taylor.
I don't know where we are on that one, so I'm gonna hold it.
I believe Mr. Spencer said that one needed to be withdrawn because it was going back to planning. Does that sound right?
We talked this morning, and he did tell me something to that effect.
He's
So
in
withdraw
the
it.
building.
Sean, where are you?
I've got a note, I wasn't here last time, but
Here he
when
is.
Elaine was here, that said to postpone till the next, till July
Yeah.
25th, but
Yes, the applicant has asked for it to be withdrawn. They reapplied to the planning commission. We're going back through, made a couple changes. And so she's asking for it just to be straight withdrawn, and we're actually going to hear it tomorrow at the planning commission.
Fantastic.
Hold it. Okay, thank you.
New business, R22-131, Mayor Hartwick.
Please.
A resolution determining and establishing the North Little Rock Electric Department's 2022 avoided cost of solar power.
You want an explanation on that from Eric? Anybody?
Move for adoption.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion seconded.
On the motion, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Ginn?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
Hey, just a second. Eric, will you come up just for a second? I want to introduce, he's going to be interim at the electric. Jessica had her baby just this last week, so I want to introduce you to Eric. And Eric, if you introduce yourself, please, and kind of
Yeah,
where you're going.
I've been the system engineer, lead engineer at the electric department now 11 years, so I'm kind of glad to step up and do my part and help things moving along while Jessica's taking maternity leave, and I'm grateful for the opportunity, and we've got a good team, so I'm not sweating too much
Thank
back
you.
over
We
here,
know-
so.
We know who you are. Tell everyone else your last name.
Heinrichs, sorry.
Anything else? Thank you very much. I
All right.
appreciate it, Eric. Thank
You
you.
all have a good night.
All right, go forward.
R22-132, Mayor Hartwick.
Please.
A resolution approving the destruction of certain records of the North Little Rock District Court.
So moved.
Second.
Motion seconded.
On the,
Question.
Yes, sir.
You know, Mayor, I don't know how many terms you've been sitting down here, but this is my 5th term, and I don't remember us ever having a bit of legislation approving the destruction of court records. What makes these records more sensitive than any others, and we've got to approve their destruction? Can you explain that to me?
I can. There's Mr. Davis, so that would be better. Is it Ember? You want ready? Because I know we got a time frame. Go ahead.
This came about with the courts moving to the new Justice Center. They have had records for decades, and they're trying to declutter since moving over. And in the municipal court law, it's supposed to come before city council before they destroy those records. So they've been keeping these forever. I think they had some records from the 40s. They're
Mr.
old.
Hampton?
And I signed an affidavit on this, just saying that for some reason, there was a process where they needed a city council member to even bring it before the city council to do this. And I was assured that no record retention laws were being broken. All of these records being destroyed are absolutely valid to be destroyed. And there's no, I'm not going to say no reason to keep them, but the state legislature certainly hasn't said we have to keep them.
That's correct, and I sent all the laws over to them because each kind of document has a certain amount of time that those documents have to be retained. So they have all of those documents, and they're keeping anything that's within those laws. And I mean, it's 8 to 10 years on some of it, so they're not destroying anything that's remotely current.
And to answer your question.
I think so.
It really came from the courts that we do this, but they can't do it. It has to be done through the council. Just because you haven't done it, it's time. So, anything else? May I ask for it then, please?
on the motion to adopt, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
R22-133, Mayor Hartwick.
Please.
A resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a real estate contract to sell certain real property located at 200 East 2nd Street, also known as 200 Poplar Street, in the city of North Little Rock, to Argenta Entertainment Development Management, LLC.
And I can already tell you there's going to be questions, so I'll open it up to questions, please.
You want to go ahead and get a motion to adopt?
I can.
So moved.
Second.
And before we have questions, I had sent out the city council, Mr. Nabholz last week had sent an updated contract. If somebody would move to amend to.
I'll make the amendment.
do
Ms.
the-
Ross?
Contract.
So this is just a parking lot.
Well, right now, you have a motion pending on the amendment.
Let's go to the amendment first, please.
She amended in the new contract,
The new
right?
contract that
Yeah.
was emailed to us.
That was emailed to us today.
It was.
Right, so are you ready to vote on adding in the amendment? Okay, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
No.
Okay. Is there a
How
mo-
about a motion to adopt as amended
Thank
before
you.
we discuss?
Motion to adopt is amended.
Second.
Okay, now discuss.
There's a motion adopted, a second, open for discussion, please. Mr. Hamilton?
I'll start.
Okay.
What are they going to do with it?
Can I ask Mr. Nabholz or Mr. Hilburn to come up, please? Please identify yourself, if you don't mind.
Yes. I'm Greg Nabholz, the CEO of Nabholz Properties, and
Scott Hilburn with Hilburn Harper Law Firm.
And ask a question. This is underneath the, what we call it, the Argenta. Is that how you're listing it to go? Is that the new name of the
Argenta Entertainment.
Development LLC.
Development
Is that how
LLC?
y'all represent this group? Is that, or y'all
Yes.
this group?
Yes.
Okay, I got you. All right.
Just for clarification, this is the area in between Simmons Bank and, or the arena and the city services building, right?
Yes.
Got
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Parking lot.
So, a question
It's
to
gonna
you.
happen.
So, yeah, our plans have been is we've had a partnership, Broadway Street LLC that for several years has owned the property to the north of this. We just, it had been on the market. We've just, as of the end of April, bought out our majority partner on all the properties that the New Argenta Fund owns down here, which has allowed us to move forward on, wanting to develop the property, which we've been wanting to do for several years. So what our initial plans are, and there's a very rough idea of just how it's blocked out in y'all's handout there in the offer, but is to start with buildings that would line up along the 2nd Street Promenade next to Simmons Bank Arena that would basically start to frame out that promenade, as you're coming down that street with the city services building, with the development of it, that would, just help to create a synergy there. And the idea is this development, of course, be mixed use. We've got a lot of different, ideas on how to plug into that, but we would be looking at restaurant, entertainment on the ground floor, so it's activated. Potential could have a hotel is one of the options. We could have some residential above. We also, on the two ends, which, depending on how the, how leasing and all that comes along, we've got, two other buildings that, one on the city services site that would be on Washington Street, and the other on Broadway Street that would, again, address the street, would be some other retail restaurant options.
Okay. Mr. Hamilton?
So a strip of some retail and restaurants?
Yeah, with mixed use, it'd be, potentially.
How many
depending-
stories?
Well, in looking at, we're thinking that could go anywhere on the two buildings that are right along the promenade, just, maybe anywhere from 3 to 6 stories. 6 stories, to, depending on if that's a hotel,
Sure.
which makes sense there.
Yeah. Counselor, are there any clawbacks on this in terms of
There
time for
are.
development?
And, first of all, the attachment that is the development plan, that's in very broad strokes. And they would have to come back to you all by January with a specific plan that you all would have to approve. I think that the date on that is that they would come back to you by January 10th with a specific development plan. Then, and the purchase would not occur until you all had approved a development plan that was fleshed out more than the general ideas that they've given you here. They have said that they intend to start construction before July 15th of next year, and that if within 2 years of closing, so say we close in February of 2023, that if within 2 years of closing, which would be February 2025, if phase 1 isn't substantially complete, and substantial completion is defined in here as 25% or more of the total project is completed, or 25% more or more of the total cost has been expended. If they haven't reached a point of substantial completion sometime in early 2025, then the city would have the option to purchase the property back at the purchase price plus whatever they've put into it during that 2-year period.
Am I right that this is basically giving them an option until January
Yes.
for free?
No, it's not a
I think
option.
that there's a $40,000
Earnest
escrow.
money.
Yeah, $40,000 escrow, but this is not an option. It's, we've got contingencies like any other offer would be, but
It's a
what
contingent,
we're in the process actually right now of, we've got architects working on the concept plans so that we can start building off our site plan, elevations, floor plates, that we start to, as soon as we can, we've got a couple people have actually talked to that, that have an interest in, being a part of this project, that, so that by the time we are able to pull everything together, have a defined plan with the renderings, floor plates, site plan, that be able to bring back to city council for approval, then once it is approved, then we get the necessary permits from the city, then we're ready to close.
And while, and I do want to clarify a little bit, this is not written in terms of it being an option to purchase, but it does
It has to come
require
back to
us
us.
to hold the property until at least January to give them an opportunity to present a development plan, and if they don't, then there won't be a project.
Okay, if it
So
walks like
while
an
it does
option,
not say
walks like a
option
duck and
on
talks
it,
like a duck.
it,
Scott, Greg, thanks for investing in North Little Rock. I appreciate it. I really do. That area needs some development. Thanks. I'm not sure if I know enough yet about what's happening there. And I got hit with this morning. I appreciate that. I really do. But I don't know. That other property's been sitting there since I started working here.
Yeah. And
A decade.
And again, to answer that
Yeah.
question, we were in a partnership that the majority property owners did not want to do anything with it.
Yeah.
Whereas we finally have gotten that taken care of, where our company now owns it 100%. Hence the reason why we've taken it, moving forward with, a development plan on that as well, to complement what we hope, with the city services, because
I can understand it.
and so,
And that's been recent, as
Yeah.
of April of this year.
Yeah. I wish I had a little more time. All right, that's all I have.
Ms. Ross?
So do you have definite developers or interest parties that are ready to put their money on the line right now for any kind of build down there?
well.
As far as
you know,
hotels and restaurants and,
Well, we've
because
talked
right
to-
now it's such a hard time to build, I know,
Sure,
with all
sure,
the
yeah.
expense.
But we've
and
got,
so-
certainly, we've got investors already lined up, our company being one of them. And we've got funds from, some other sales that we're wanting to, reinvest in this, and got other people that are looking to invest in this. And so we feel like we've got a good base, and obviously we've done these projects before. And so it's time that, like I said, I'm tired of seeing that, be a
Gravel
parking
lot.
lot. I'll be the first to tell you, I mean, it's, I live down here, walk down there all the time, go across the Junction Bridge or whatever, you just get tired of, you want to see something.
Right.
So
And
I
guess that
couldn't.
comes to me is the past history of people buying land and speculating, is basically what they were doing.
Oh,
They were
yeah.
just buying and speculating. And they've held that and never developed it. Everybody kept saying, when's something going to happen? And it's never, so to me, I guess the Rye property was like my last straw. It's like, okay, no more. And then they would come back for more, extended time. I wish that you could bring us something now. I guess that's where I am.
Well, and I think, if you,
Yeah.
even if, the whole reason why we're not doing a close until we get your approval that was part of the deal that, that to allow y'all to actually have the input on the final plans, instead of us, okay, technically, we could close tomorrow if it wasn't, if it wasn't going to be, the city says, okay, where they would get involved in our design. So instead of that, we want to bring the design to y'all, have it blessed, we get all the permits, we close. And if that can be before, everything we have as far as the closing dates, it's on or before. We're just allowing for enough time, to get it there. We just.
Mr.
there's-
Birch, can I ask you to come up, please? So we're talking about the property that is next to Simmons Arena, that's a gravel area now. Have you had calls from anybody other than the Nabholz Hilburn group to look at these properties that might be something we should look at? Here's kind of what I'm getting at. If they're going to build something, let's build it. I don't mind selling it to them. I want to build it. Let's build something. But if we're sitting it out there to hold, to let them fish with it, I'm not gonna do it. So my question is, if y'all ready to build, I'm like Ms. Ross and Mr. Hamilton is saying, y'all got plans, you wanna build it, give me a start date. And if you don't, have you got people talking to you there in our Forest City?
We've had on all the properties down there, which there's 3 that we currently have.
Have y'all got pictures of this I could put up?
Diane?
There you go.
There you go.
Thank you.
So we have 3 lots basically down there that, for sale. If you go to the next page.
Next page,
One more, sorry.
is that it?
No, the next one.
One more.
So you have the lot behind the Barber College, which is about a half acre. You have the Greyhound building, which we will take full possession of by the 16th of this month when they're out.
Thank you.
And both of those are listed at $25 a square foot. Go to the next page. The lot in question now, Lot C, is the parking lot at Simmons Bank. We listed it for $20 a square foot, and that's pretty close to where we are on the price. It's actually, I think, a little bit above, but it depends on because I didn't see the survey square footage of the lot that you guys did. So, we're priced right. It's in the, the right area. But I know that the council does have the wishes for a project to be fully fleshed out when it comes. We've had a lot of phone calls, and there's always a lot of speculation on it. This is the first contract that we've had on it. We've had a couple that have had some big ideas, and Mayor, you've met with them, and we've shot a lot of holes in them and therefore we didn't need to bring them to the council. This was part of the property that was previously listed with Moses Tucker, but during the pandemic, of course, nobody was shopping and looking to put up a hotel. We've had a lot of interest on it, and Ms. Ross, building is not slowing down. It is not a problem because everybody's building. It's a problem getting materials, but nobody is slowing down. They're taking advantage of the opportunities right now. So that's where we stand, and my job is to bring offers to you as the council and for you to make the best decisions possible for the city. So,
Questions?
So is it currently listed now?
yes, it's not listed with a realtor. It's with us in the city.
So it's not listed?
Well, in that regards, yes. But we have presented it to the real estate luncheon and many other properties. I was asked by the mayor for us to keep this in-house.
Okay. That wasn't my question. My question is it listed? Is it?
It's not on there. You're not gonna find it in the MLS.
Is it with a real estate firm actively marketing it to the market?
No, I was asked to keep it in-house.
Okay, I get that. So.
The question is no.
Yeah, so, thank you. It's just no. So that means that if it was listed, who knows what kind of offer we would get?
It was listed for 4 years and we got very little.
It was listed for 4 years through a pandemic.
I understand that, and I'm just doing what I was asked.
Still in a pandemic.
Not really.
Okay, I would think we would classify this as for sale by owner.
Correct. And if y'all want to list it, I'm all for listing it. Takes a lot of work off me. We've actually gotten just as many calls and work through having it listed this way as we did when it was listed before.
Can I ask one more question? Sure. Mr. Nepot, you own the property here at the corner of Broadway and, was it Will Street again? And how long have you say you just got that full in your possession?
Yeah, our partnership, we were a minority partner. Navels Properties was in the new Argenta Fund, which we own that property in there, the Argenta Place building across the street, and the Root and Barley building, and some other lots in front of City Grove. And so we now own all that 100%. And it's, but we've had that property where we are listed for 10 years, and really the only viable calls we ever had on that were people wanted to put a gas station on there, and we absolutely said, no, that's not going to happen. But I will say that, y'all have had a lot of, because we were part of that, I guess, the group of 4 that were, when you were looking at the proposals for all the property. And so I know it's very known by every developer. It's been out there as far as, I mean, I don't, as far as that goes, I don't think it's a secret that the property's available, but,
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Ross?
Okay, so in the new, and I know I'd sent Amy an email about, selling it. So this could not be assigned to a third party, correct? How does that work? And you say in 2 years they want to sell it or whatever. I mean, how long do they have to hold it for? 2 years?
I think it's 2 years.
When you haven't even started on it till January, so I guess that's a really short period right there. That's when I kind of had the question on the 2 years, when we wouldn't even see the plans till January, so that's a year and a half then.
Says, buyer agrees not to sell the property to an unrelated third party within 2 years after closing without seller's approval, which approval will not be unreasonably withheld.
Okay, all right. Okay, so here's my other question. How fast could you get it? I mean, do you have to wait till January to get something back to us?
well, I mean, a lot of it depends.
If we agree, I mean, if we changed, if we amended this January date to say, I don't know, 3 months
I
from
would
now.
love to close before the end of the year.
Okay.
And I think we can make that happen. Everything we have in there is like on or before, just because we just making sure the dates are, that we have some flexibility just in case the unknown, comes up. But we've already started on got the architects already started on laying out the site plan, so.
And I know this is not an option, but I don't have any problem if, say, 3 months, you could bring it back to us. Now, I know that's not an option, I know it's a contract, but, if you could bring something back to us in 3 months, so we're basically, that is an option. I have no problem, because I know you'll do wonderful things with it, and that's why I want to.
Mr. Hamilton?
Councilmember Taylor, you're the, as my wife likes to call you, you're the real estate guru. What's the play here? What's best for the city? We don't know what they're doing here, and we got a lot of property that is very important to the development of our downtown all around it. What's the play here?
Well, I have all the respect in the world for Mr. Nabholz and his reputation and his, how he conducts himself as a commercial real estate broker in Arkansas. But here's my question for us as the seller. So we have a premium piece of property in downtown North Little Rock, basically a block from the river. And it's not listed, it's not being marketed for sale. That blows my mind.
It's okay. Answer your question.
I mean, and I mean, I understand, but if I mean, I understand that, okay, for some reason we didn't want pandemic, it's been on the market for 4 years or whatever, but the pandemic is, we're still in it, but we're not in it, okay? Maybe we'll get our 5th shot here in the next couple months, who knows? But we got this property, we got the ones across the street, we got, I mean, right on the riverfront. I don't understand why it's not out to the open market for sale and take comers from wherever they come from to get the best price.
Let me kind of explain a little bit. When I came to be mayor here in 2021, there was a sign down here on Main Street, and I don't want to badmouth it, but I think it was Fletcher Hanson that had been there how many years?
4 years.
4 years, and nothing had happened. So meanwhile, I came in and said, let's take the sign down, let's start marketing in-house with Robert and people. So some of that is going to be on me, I will say it. Have we got it listed? So when you list it with a real estate agent, he's going to ask for how long?
A year.
At least a year.
At least a year. Robert Birch has sold more property in the last year and a half than anybody has in the last 4 years of city property. So that's kind of on me, I'll put it that way. Now, if you people here in the city council want to put it on market again, that we'll have to pay a real estate agent, which I hire these people. He's got Colleen here, I've got Robert, and have had Todd. And I will tell you, Mr. Taylor, that they've sold a lot of property for us lately. If you can't comprehend why we haven't got it listed, to comprehend is, I saw property sitting here when I came, and it had been sitting there for, I just told you, 4 years. And then when we do get it, I don't mind which way we go. The only thing I'm said to this, everybody on this floor, and I'll say to everybody, if we sell it, I want a plan and I want something started. I don't want a maybe. That's what I'm asking for. I think all of us on this council, hang on, Mr. Harris, everybody on this council says sell it and develop it, but don't sell it and sit on it. And I think that's where we're all looking at doing right now. Mr. Harris.
I been listening to Councilmember Hamilton and Taylor and the mayor. And when and Councilmember Hamilton, this was kind of like new to me this morning too. I didn't get, a whole lot on it. And so, maybe we all need some more education, but there's a simpler fact that I'm getting that I know you're still thinking needs to be listed and everything like that, but the simple fact that I'm getting from a builder's perspective is this is something that we are trying to agree to move forward, to do something different, to get a plan going. And then, not only that, there's a little bit of an exciting part about that is they have to come back to us for approval of what they're doing. I don't know, that's just what resonated with me that would allow me to vote for this. The bigger question was, okay, well, it's $1,120,000, but I just heard that is $20 a square foot, and that's what they're, so this is a tough one. I'm just saying, I just see movement. I know, Mayor, it may not be as fast as you want to move, or I don't know. And it's not about that. I just see movement. I'm excited about movement. Mr. Burks, I'll shut up.
To go along with that, every offer that we had previously or attempted an offer that we had previously on this land, it was what they're looking to do in 5 months, 6 months of asking for that January date. Everybody else was 2 years, 3 years, 4 years out on development plans. So at least this gives a shorter time frame for the council to look at this. And, I agree with, what Ms. Ross said. If we can come back maybe in 3 months and have either an update or an accelerated plan, that would be far ahead of what we've done in the past. And, again, it's our job to bring it to the city to let you guys make the choices on it. And as Nathan said, I will, Representative Taylor, or Councilmember Taylor, I'll always defer to you on real estate matters. But our job was to bring the best offer that we could, and this one with the time frame, even though it's not as immediate as everybody would like, I think it does give a little more control to the council than definitely than any other offer that we've ever gotten on it.
Mr. Baxter was first, if you don't mind.
So, Mayor, I know as it relates to a lot of the growth and development that we've had downtown, since I've been on the council, we've always been presented a project, and this is X, Y, and Z. And I mean, that's always excited me, even though it's not in my part of town, it's in the city of North Little Rock. And if it's in the city of North Little Rock, all the residents win. But with this here, guys, I mean, there's just nothing out there that really, nothing excites me. Because I don't see any proof of concept or anything like that. I've heard restaurants, I've heard retail, I've heard other things mentioned, hotel on top, maybe residences. Again, I'm just an old retired GI. Show me, even though I'm not from Missouri. Show me something that I can kind of sink my teeth in and sell to my citizens.
Well, and if I may, council member, I know I'm assuming that one of the reasons that the prior contracts, the prior offers that have been brought to y'all with these 2-year periods before any construction costs is because as developers, you have to go out there and try to pre-lease and test the market to see, you know, are we going to be more entertainment related, more restaurant related? How's that going to conceptualize? And the thought with this particular offer was it would be somewhat of the best of both worlds for the city. You would get a commitment from two North Little Rock people trying to improve North Little Rock by developing downtown to get something back to you quickly that you still have to approve, rather than trying to close on this property tomorrow and then come back to this council to say, this is what we'd like to do with it, and then we have development problems or this, that, and the other. The purpose was the quick turnaround to try to get that full development plan to the council, and if we're not able to reach an agreement, then the city's not out anything. They can do whatever they want to, and if we are, then we move forward.
Ms. Ross first.
Okay. I think we're all trying to get to the same point here, and this is what we need to do. And I know, I mean, 3-month option, bring something back to us. I don't know, I mean, we could hold this.
I can hold it if I like.
And we could hold it and just say we're not going to sell it or whatever till you bring us something back. I know it's nothing definite for you, but I think we're all trying to get to the same point, but we're just trying to meet in the middle on it. So,
Just so y'all understand from our point of view, or from anybody that's going to buy this, if you're wanting to get something done there,
Right.
this is really the only way to do it. And the reason being is if we don't have control of the property to get that development plan,
Right.
we're already spending money on that.
Right.
So it's money out of our pockets that, you know, what, then if there's, you know, somebody comes along and wants to make an offer and it's taken out, we don't have control of it. So that's the whole point of it. And if you look, most contracts, I mean, our commercial contracts, it's just minimum a 90-day contingency. A lot of times it's 120 with option periods. What we're talking about is, I mean, we're right now in the middle of July. We're looking at, by the end of the year, I think we're going to have everything to get y'all's approval, which is going to be a very exciting plan. I just don't have anything to show you now, and that we can get moving on it. We're going to be able to move quicker on this than any other group that could come in, because we're already ahead of the game.
so,
And we're already going to be doing it on our property.
So,
So,
you know, and I agree, and, you know, I'm okay with it, because, you know, 3 months, 6 months, we haven't had any offers, correct? So, I mean, what have we got to lose if we wait 6 months? But one thing, you know, you were talking about the, listing this with the real estate agent, Councilmember Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
In there, under number 17, it says seller to pay 4% real estate commission to Nabholz Properties, which is Greg, so we would still be paying a 4% real estate fee, which is $44,800.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it's not listed with a realtor. So I guess I was kind of confused on that.
well, it's not listed, but it's typically, a lot of your land listings are 8% commissions. And so we're just saying, if we were representing the seller, it'd be 4% on that. So that's what that was. But it would also, we kind of took into account the price that is in there is a little bit higher than what we were
Can you
told.
move to the
Talking to the
microphone?
microphone.
I'm sorry. So,
Thank
sorry.
you.
But, yeah, the price of what, you know, the offering price is a little bit higher than what, you know, we were told for the price of the property. So it was taken into account, that commission would be absorbed by that.
I just wanted to clarify, you know, when you said it wasn't
Yeah.
listed, then, you know, then everybody's assuming,
And
well,
it
there's no
does say in there
realty
that
fee.
there's
It's
no,
not
li-
listed.
there's
So
no
that's- I just
listing
wanted to-
agent. It just,
is
it's
in the
a,
contract. That was
because a lot of times you'll have people will, you know, I can represent a buyer that is looking to purchase a piece of property from a seller that is not listed, but the seller is going to agree to pay, you know, a commission. And typically you don't ask for a full amount because you're not doing that whole work on the front end.
You have to have an answer tonight. Can you give me 2 more weeks?
Well, I mean, it's.
We're getting a lot of discussion here, it looks like. And I want to make sure all 8 of the council members, Mr.
I mean, if it's not an option, what are we signing?
We're selling it.
What, we're
It's a
selling it?
contingency.
Contingency.
It's,
Well, it's a contingent contract. I mean,
yeah,
but
the,
a lot of it's
getting the
contingent on y'all.
I
I'm sorry.
was,
I'm sorry.
It's a contingency on having you all approve the development plan on or before January the 10th.
How difficult is it to get out of a to prove those contingencies has not been met. I mean, simply, we don't vote to approve the development plan,
And we're out.
and we're out?
Right.
We don't have to sell it?
Then we don't have to.
They're not closing until
Yeah,
we,
that's one
until
of
we
the
vote to approve.
contingencies. Right.
Because we got to get the, part of the deal is if y'all approve, we get the permits, we close.
Mr. Taylor?
So this, back to, I mean, I understand the commission aspect of this, but the city, I mean, you're representing you and she's representing us. So that's $44,800 that don't even play into this.
Well, I mean, I am representing Scott and I are representing the partnership that is making the offer, so.
So but you represent us, correct?
I do, well, as an attorney, not because I'm not a real estate agent or a real estate broker. So I represent you as an attorney, but
Okay.
not as you know, I gotta be licensed to be a broker and I'm not that. So I provide you all legal advice.
How long are we gonna wait?
I'm asking, can they wait 2 more weeks and let's discuss? Looks like there's a lot of discussion here. Mr. Hilburn, Mr. Napos. I can hold this without doing anything else. Are you okay with that? There's a lot of
Another-
discussion. I think you're either gonna have to hold it or it's not gonna go forward tonight.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I'm seeing too much.
Yeah, well, yeah, we can wait 2 weeks, but, you know, again, if y'all are wanting to get all this stuff under this timeline, then we're.
If
in
you're
that-
working with people now, I suggest you
Yeah.
not slow down, but again, if you're talking about a timeline in 2 weeks, I don't think I can see right now.
Mr.
that it will go
Navos, if you
forward.
want to vote, let's vote.
Well, I mean, the whole point is that we want to get something going here.
All right.
So you want to vote?
You want to vote?
Well, we'll wait 2 weeks.
Okay.
That was my question.
I tried.
All right, I'm going to hold this, if you don't mind. I think if anybody has more discussion with Mr. Napos and Hilburn, let's get it. I think we're all after the same thing. So, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Yes, Ms. Ross?
And if y'all would like to meet with us individually or whatever and express, whatever, show us whatever concepts you have or whatever.
think we need
I
pictures.
would love to,
Yeah, but, yeah.
sit down with you and talk and show us what you got.
Sure. I mean, but we just, we can show you pictures of other projects, but we can get there. I mean.
Right. But we have a concept, we
Yeah.
have an idea.
Sure.
We like pretty pictures. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I'll hold this then, please.
Sounds
Let's go
good.
forward. Thank y'all very much.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Let's go public.
The next 3 will be your public
Let's
hearing.
go to my public hearing. I'm going to go ahead and call a public hearing, if you'll read them, please.
The public hearing is on R22-134, 1102 East 16th Street, R22-135, 5124 Alpha Street, R22-136, 1724 Parker Street, and this is for these were cleanup liens where the property was removed by the city.
If you don't mind, we'll call it public hearing. Those people wishing to speak for or against that, please come forward. Seeing none, I will adjourn this public hearing, please.
R22-134, Mayor Hartwick.
Please.
A resolution certifying the amount of a cleanup lien to be filed with the Pulaski County Tax Collector against certain real property located at 1102 East 16th Street in the city of North Little Rock.
Move for adoption.
Motion to adopt, and there's a second.
On the motion to adopt, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height has stepped out of the chambers. R22-135, Mayor Hartwick.
Please.
Resolution certifying the amount of a cleanup lien to be filed with Pulaski County Tax Collector against certain real property located at 5124 Alpha Street in the city of North Little Rock.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Motion to adopt and second.
On the motion, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
Height is still out. R22-136, Mayor Hartwick.
Please.
A resolution certifying the amount of a cleanup lien to be filed with the Pulaski County Tax Collector against certain real property located at 1724 Parker Street in the city of North Little Rock.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Motion second.
On the motion to adopt, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height is still out. R22-137.
Don't
Mayor
I have to
Hartwick.
recall this again?
You'll do a public hearing on this. This is the grass cutting lanes.
You don't mind, I'm going to have to call.
I need to read it
Go ahead and
by
read it,
title
please. Yes,
first.
ma'am.
A resolution approving and certifying amounts of liens to be filed with Pulaski County Tax Collector against certain real properties in the city of North Little Rock as a result of grass cutting expenses and abatement of other nuisances.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Motion adopted, second. Now I need to call a public hearing. If you don't mind, I'm going to call a public hearing on this, R22-137. Those wishing to speak for or against, please come to the mic. And seeing none, I will adjourn this public hearing. Please call it.
Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Point of order. Sir, did you need to speak on this one? Let's figure it out.
Ask on R22-137, those wishing to speak for or against, please come to the microphone. Do you want me to do it again?
These are the grass cutting liens?
That's what I say. I thought you were
My
something.
answer is yes.
I thought you were different, so go ahead.
Well, I thought he was a,
I knew who he was.
Ordinance,
I
okay.
knew who he was. Go ahead. All right, let's go.
Robinson? I already got Taylor. Robinson? Did you say yes, Taylor? I knew you did. I've read it in your head.
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann? And Hyde is still out. Ordinances O-2258, Mayor
Please,
Hartwick.
please.
An ordinance amending Section 1.1.1 of the North Little Rock Municipal Code, Chapter 4, Buildings and Building Regulations, first reading.
Move to suspend all the readings?
Second.
And seconded.
On the motion, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt?
So move.
Second.
On the motion to
Question.
adopt? Oh,
Question, hang on.
I'm sorry, this crossed my mind. Are we going to be required to put some type of public notice out stating that we're moving to these new requirements?
Mr. Spencer?
Or is that simply made known to applicants as they come through the planning process?
All of the ordinances are published in the newspaper, and so that's the public notice on
Okay.
ordinances, and then it'll be made known.
That suffices for the, okay.
And he'll be coming back with some more of these. We're just cleaning books.
We have a list of emails, so everybody's on our list that does those type of contracting.
Right.
We'll get that, and then we also, the ones that don't have an email, we mail a letter to them. So there'll probably be 300-400 that we mail out or email to.
Thank you, sir.
okay, so there was a motion and a second to adopt. On the motion, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Hyde?
Yes.
Baxter? I said Baxter.
I know.
He answered for
I was a
Robinson.
little bit early.
But go ahead.
Oh. I guess your voice was a little higher that time. Okay, on the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Hyde?
Yes.
O-2259, Mayor Hartwick.
Please call it.
An ordinance rezoning property located at 7001 Faulkner Lake Road in the planning jurisdiction of the city of North Little Rock, Arkansas, from
pictures
R2 to Planned Unit Development PUD zoning classification by amending ordinance number 9263. First reading.
Let's go ahead and get it, suspend the
Move
rules.
suspend
and I'll
the
come back.
readings.
Second.
Let's do it that way.
On the motion to suspend the readings, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Hyde?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adopt?
I think I got a question from Ms. Ross, if you don't mind.
Need a motion to
Let
adopt?
let me get the motion to adopt, and then I'll go, please, and thank y'all.
I have a question.
Thank you.
Ms. Robinson,
Robinson.
please. I'm sorry. It was me.
Motion to adopt?
Motion.
I got those.
I know.
Yeah, I thought you had somebody wanted to say something.
I do.
My
Yes.
I have the floor.
Yes. Yes.
My question is, I think this is something that have been before us
It is.
in the past, and I noticed that we're changing it to a PUD.
Mr.
Why?
Spencer?
That's our only option out there to do that is PUD. There is no other zoning category that would allow this to happen. It's in the county, so his driveway is in the city, but that large triangular part is in the county. And you can see the house is built is right there at the very lower tip of the triangle is the manufactured home. So about 4 months ago, we came through to revoke the special use, because special uses can't be used for built structures, for new structures. We allowed it because he said it was temporary. So he decided building the house wasn't the proper time to do that, so he remodeled the manufactured home, put bricks on the outside and new roof on it to make it look like a stick-built house. And so we revoked it, and now he's coming back through. So he went through the process properly. So he's been to court a couple times. He's been here first. He's been to Planning Commission twice. And now this would be the final step to do a PUD to allow a manufactured home on this property.
So the only thing, excuse me, go ahead.
So it's still a mobile home?
Manufactured home. Or
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
It's a
modular. I'm using the wrong term, modular.
It's a modular home.
Yeah, the property owner's here if you want it, but yeah, it's modular.
Okay.
The only thing.
So now we're not going to build, we aren't going to build from the ground up now. We're just going to keep this modular home and rezone this to a PUD. That's what we're doing.
And again, the only thing in the city limits is the driveway?
Correct.
Okay.
There should be if you rotate through the drawings here, there's one
Okay.
that shows the city limits go up. There you go. So the blue is the city limits, and the non-blue area is the county. So his driveway's in the blue, and the rest is out in the county.
Okay.
All right. Any questions for anybody?
So, this is how we got in this mess with Deer Meadows and Ashley Downs by letting, by not sticking to our guns on street development and all of our rules, even though those areas were within the territorial jurisdiction, we still kind of just let some things go. So what happens if all of a sudden this gets annexed into the city? Are we following all the guidelines and making sure that?
By making it a PUD, it's legal, inside the city or outside the city.
Okay, yeah, I get that, but do we have some things within this PUD to say, to make sure that everything is tight?
Yes.
Can you go through the pictures, please?
Well, if Sean says it's tight, I'm good with it.
Okay. I'm just going to show the pictures if you don't. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Robinson.
So 5 years from now, down the road, they decide to annex. So are we going to be responsible for their streets?
There's no street there. It's a drive. Right there it is. That's a
That's
driveway.
a driveway,
It's
yeah.
just a real long driveway back to his house. So we're standing on the street right there. You can't see the house. It's back there.
That is Faulkner Lake Road right there.
Okay.
His house is what? How far is your house from Faulkner? I was out there the other day. Half a mile back in there it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I even talked to Nathan about it, but it's quite a ways back there.
There's no street involved. It's all driveway.
Okay. Yes, sir, Mr. Baxter.
So is that entire driveway, if you look at the picture there we go. So part of it appears that part of that driveway isn't in the red identified area. Is that somebody else's lot, or is that part of his lot?
So for us to issue a permit back there, the property has to touch the Faulkner Lake Road. You don't necessarily have to use it, so I think that was an existing road there that you got an easement with the neighbor to buy it. He ended up buying it, so it's a separate lot, but as long as the property where the house is touches the road, we're legal. How you get to the house doesn't really fall under our rules, just the property has to touch the road.
Anything else? Okay.
On the motion to adopt, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
That has been approved.
By the way, I was out there. It may be modular or whatever, but you've done so much, it didn't look like a modular house. I actually drove up through your driveway, so you didn't shoot me or anything, so I just kept driving, so. Anyway, it's a good-looking place. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for what you've done. And Sean, I want to say, he has met all stipulations, everything through the planning, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
Yeah, the planning commission reviewed it as a PUD, and it's tight, as you said it, yes. So we're very happy with the way it went through.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. Let's go.
O-2260, Councilmember Robinson.
Please call it.
An ordinance waiving section 6.2.4.e of the zoning ordinance number 9263 for property located at 8720 Faulkner Lake Road in the city of North Little Rock, Pulaski County, Arkansas, first reading.
Move to suspend all readings.
Second.
Motion second.
On the motion, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adopt?
So
So
moved.
move.
Second.
On the motion to adopt, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
O-2261, Councilmember Robinson.
Please call it.
An ordinance approving a fee in lieu of sidewalk construction for property located at 8720 Faulkner Lake Road in the city of North Little Rock, first reading.
Suspend all readings.
Second.
On the motion to suspend, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
Is there a
Motion to adopt.
Okay. So- On the motion, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
O-2262, Councilmember Robinson.
Please call it.
An ordinance approving fee in lieu of planting trees for property located at 8720 Faulkner Lake Road in the city of North Little Rock, first reading.
Move to suspend all readings.
Second.
On the motion, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay.
There's a question here, Ms. Ross.
Yeah, the form from the tree board, and it was like this on the other one too, but they'd been corrected. At the bottom where it says 45 trees at $40 each, I should say $400 each, the total of 18,000 is correct.
It is 18,000,
It
is
is, but
that
I just
correct?
want to make sure that it's noted in the minutes that we acknowledge that was an error right there. It should have another zero in there. Instead of $40, it's $400 per tree.
You okay? Got you. Right, and she's correct. It should be 400, it should be $18,000.
Well, the total
I
amount
know,
is correct.
total's right, it's the 40. Got you. All right.
Okay, on the motion to adopt, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton has stepped out. You can tell this is a long meeting.
Yeah, I know, go. It's
Taylor?
getting longer if you don't stop.
Yes.
Robinson? Robinson?
Yes.
Did you
Keep
say?
on.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris? Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Taylor?
They're on the
Baxter.
emergency? Taylor? Yes, thank you. Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
O-2263, Councilmember Robinson.
Call it.
63,
Call it.
yes.
Call it.
Please call.
It's not me. I'm just
I know.
saying. An ordinance approving fee in lieu of planting trees for property located at 3700 Progress Street in the city of North Little Rock, Pulaski County, Arkansas, first reading.
Second.
On the motion, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton's out. Taylor? Come on.
Yes.
Robinson? Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
On the motion, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton's out. Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height? On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton's back.
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
O-2264, Councilmember Robinson.
What?
I thought we did this.
We did, but it's
Another
done
electric
good now. So,
Okay.
please. Thank you, sir.
What?
Okay.
Please call.
An ordinance granting a conditional use to allow an electric fence in an I-2 zone for property located at 8700 Highway 70 in the city of North Little Rock, first reading.
Second.
On the motion, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
On the motion, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Fence.
This is the electric fence?
If we got
Yes.
100 of them, there's just another.
This is the electric fence.
Hundreds of them.
Are they not allowed?
No.
With a conditional use, they are.
Come on.
One every meeting, it seems like.
Questions? Identify yourself, please, sir.
My name is Michael Pate. I'm the Director of Government Affairs with Amarok. Yes, they are allowed. We've done this several times in here.
Right.
It's the
If they're
front
allowed,
yard.
why are we
It's the
having to
front
vote
yard,
on it?
sir. It's the front yard, because you have rules against the fence height in the front yard. In order to encapsulate the entire property, we need to come before you to get permission to put it in the front yard.
So they're not allowed unless we give you permission,
They're allowed on 3 sides.
but not on the one you're asking for, right?
I'm sorry, it's not allowed unless a
Oh,
conditional
okay.
use approves it. So we're here for 2 reasons, a conditional use, and he's wanting to put it in the front yard on that top corner there.
I apologize, I'm brand new to this. I really am, but
So
we
all-
allow
all
electric fences all over the city?
No.
I thought they were illegal, I thought,
Not
Only
without
with conditional use.
Conditional use.
It is,
So it's not allowed unless you get a conditional use.
You go through the
Did several
process.
at the previous
Unless you
meeting.
get permission.
We had that one on,
Mr. Baxter?
This is that low voltage approach that we've approved many times, well, I say many, several recently, by the same company.
So every
Is there
electric
every
fence will come through this process.
what's the purpose of the electric fence?
Keep people out.
To shock people?
It's a security system. It's powered by a 12-volt battery, and it pulses. So once every 1.3 seconds, we load an energizer, and it's a 2-fence system, so we're behind the existing perimeter fence. So someone's got to be going through that perimeter fence to hit it.
At what point do they hit the cannons and the moats?
Pardon me?
The guns?
That's all there is.
Oh, it's just gonna stop at electric shock therapy?
Well, it's similar to a shock if you had stocking feet on, rubbing your feet across a carpet and reached out and hit a door handle.
So not gonna stop me, really?
Your body doesn't like it. And if they knock it down, the alarm goes off. It's an alarmed electric security system.
I vote no.
Okay.
Keep on.
Taylor, I believe you said yes.
Oh, I didn't say anything. So, conditional use means that it runs with the land.
Right.
So is that what we want to do?
Huh?
I said, is that what we want to do?
I don't know. I don't have a vote.
I'm talking to my planning director.
we had 2 last time.
This group here, 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Just in the last 2 months.
Right, but I mean,
I
we started
remember
the
it.
process. So that's the process. So it's not an electric fence like the cow, around the cows. Like you should, sort of, we'll give you a little shock, but it sends.
No, I'm good with the fence.
Yeah, it sends something to the alarm company is what it's more for. I mean, they're meeting all the requirements, there's no houses around it, so I mean, it's a good location for electric fence.
Okay, yes. Thank you, Sean.
Robinson? Yes. Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
No.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson? Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
O 2265, Councilmember Hamilton.
Please call it.
An ordinance granting a conditional use to allow a daycare center in a C3 zone for property located at
Guys, hey, hey, hey,
1724
hey, hey,
Pike.
hey. Sean, I need y'all to take that outside, please, sir, if you don't mind. Sorry, I
Again, it's not
apologize.
me.
No, I apologize. but there were-
Granting a conditional use to allow a daycare center in a C3 zone for certain real property located at 1724 Pike Avenue in the city of North Little Rock, first reading. Is there a motion?
Move to, but I don't want to suspend the readings.
Well, then
Yet.
don't.
So what's my?
Well,
So
then,
you don't move, then we read it again next time.
if you don't,
Great, well
if you
then-
don't make any motions, you're not
move
going
to
to
take it to
discuss
the
it if
second
it's
reading.
going on
Move
to
to
the
take
next.
it to the second reading.
Move to take the second reading.
Is there a second?
Everybody
Second.
here?
Now, do you
Are
want
you
to,
Ms. Shredder?
do you want to discuss it before we?
I would like to discuss it,
Okay,
please.
press on.
Great, thank you very much. So this is for consideration only. This is something I need the council's guidance on. And I really am looking to those with more experience in this matter than I. I've discussed it with the owner. I've discussed it with the building owner. I've discussed it with the potential lessor. I've discussed it with 5 different directors of daycare centers. And I tried to discuss it with the neighbor, but he wanted to shoot me, I think. So I decided not to. There's a few issues on here. Number one, I want a daycare center in this area. Every director I talk to of daycare centers, one in Lakewood, one in Park Hill, one in Indian Hills, and 2 on Pike, or Camp Robinson, have said that it is imperative we have more daycare and childcare for working families. There is not enough childcare in our city. And so they thought it was absolutely imperative. Now, that's an entirely separate issue than whether or not this is the best location for it. So I've pressed the button. Can you share, or can I share my screen?
Yes, go ahead. Can you get it out there for us?
Up there.
It was up there? No worries.
Hit click share, see if you can. If not, let's go forward.
Yeah,
Keep going.
let's just
Click.
move forward.
Go
That's
back.
fine. So
Go back. Go ahead. I'm
go
sorry.
back to that. I
There you go.
appreciate y'all trying. Thank you. So the front parking lot is basically blocked off. If you see to the south on that picture, where the Words playground location is, that guy has put up a barrier where the yellow line is on that front parking spot. Whether he's allowed to do that or not, our engineers believe he is not allowed to block that access. The highway department has a cross easement, or cross access easement there. The road that is in the bottom left-hand corner that looks like it's an access off Pike is not. That is not an access. And then what looks to go to 18th Street is actually just a straight curb. And as we all know, it's illegal to drive over a curb in North Little Rock. So there is no access physically to those front 10 parking spots. And I believe it might be a civil issue or for us to call the highway department to get that guy to take that barrier down. But the guy's not playing nice.
Felicia, did you hear that? Felicia, did you hear his
I
comment?
talked to,
Well, I'm still
I
looking
talked
at
to
you.
Chris Wilburn.
And I want to say, Chris, yes.
I talked to Chris Wilburn about it, and when Pike did that expansion, he believes, and he can certainly say to it, speak to himself, but he can't imagine that they would leave that business landlocked, that there's no way to access those businesses.
Go ahead, yes, sir.
So basically, y'all aren't seeing, but the property down below, the barber shop, he's erected a cable that blocks the entrance. When Pike was widened, you can see the entrance down to the south there. And then the road, that's the old Pike Road there, and that was basically what they're trying to do. The highway department was trying to limit the number of accesses off of Pike and use what's called a cross-access easement. They would not have widened the road and not given access to those businesses. So it is a cross-access easement, but currently it's blocked off with a cable. You can see where there's been asphalt put up just a little bit to the north there. I do believe that the highway department would give us a curb cut permit right there to add a driveway for the 10 spaces there. I would be for that more than putting a driveway off of 18th because of the distance, because it's so close to the intersection. But if you look on the north side of 18th Street, there's a driveway right across the way there. So I would prefer for her employees to have an access off of Pike, and I believe we could work with the highway department, and they would allow that, because right now, there's a cable blocking any kind of entrance.
And I think that's a civil issue, not something that we can really get involved to. I mean, he's,
It is.
yeah.
Let me identify yourself, please, if you don't mind. I want to ask you a
Yes, sir.
question. You're the owner of?
Yes, sir. I
Okay.
am the current owner.
Are
Yes,
you
sir.
Are you ready to get in business right now, or?
I am. I also have a facility just a few blocks down on 25th Street, which we've been in North Little Rock for the last 7 years with a child care center that I have at capacity at this very moment. So we are ready to move forward.
Behind Kroger. Well, used to be Kroger.
Yes, behind
Yeah.
the previous Kroger's, yes,
So
sir.
just quick question, so Paul Strack sold you the property?
Yes,
Yep, okay.
Are you leasing it from him or selling it to him?
we are leasing to purchase. We've already put down a
Leasing to
down
purchase,
payment.
okay.
Yes.
And how many years' experience have you had in childcare?
30 years this year.
Thank you.
Ms. Ross?
And I talked to Ms. Morse too, and she
Yes.
does. She has a wonderful facility in Fifth, and I've heard so many great things, and actually I tried
Thank
to get
you.
my grandson there, but it was,
Thank you.
Anyway, long story short. This building, when Custom XM was there, had the same problem, with it was a civil matter. And one of my concerns too is, and this is why I told her that I couldn't sponsor it, because in my heart, I don't know if this would be a safe area for the drop-off and the pickup. If y'all think it would, that's fine, but as far as I'm concerned, were you still planning on doing the drop-off in the back, on the alley? Or are you going to use the alley? Because I know when we talked in that alley, because I know that there's been some issues with the alley, because there's a house that his access from Pike has also been blocked, the house next to the barber shop. And so the only way for that house is in through the alley for their access to their house.
There is no access in the alley that's blocked. It's a clear drive-through. We go through all the
But what my
time.
concern is when they're dropping off, have you got enough room for
To drop
the
off and
owner
pick up.
The
everyone?
problem, excuse me, I don't mean to be, but the problem is, what about the food pantry at Gardner?
Okay, with their drop-off and pickup,
They've got the big trucks.
I don't believe that we will have any problem with them. At the time of their pickup for the food, we will already be in the center because
And-
we have a cutoff
And I'm
time.
going to ask a legal question. You say you're leased to purchase,
Yes, sir.
so you really don't own the property yet, correct?
First say, not yet.
So here's where I'm coming from, Amy, if you don't mind. Don't we need Mr. Strack here? Sean? I mean, I'm not trying to stop this, I'm
It's
trying
just
to
like
make
if
it
the
legal for
applicant,
you.
it's just like if the applicant didn't show up, we could still approve it.
I'm not disagreeing with you, I just want to make sure that when we're doing,
He's given permission to her.
okay, that's
to
the question I
apply.
want to get on record.
To apply. So
There you
that-
go.
That's where we're
That's
at.
all, that's all I
She's
wanted to get on
applying at the
record is who has, so back to it, then the question is, go ahead, Mr. Hamilton.
So the question, I didn't even really worry about that front parking spot. I'm not sure what to do about that, but the dropping off on the back, I didn't know if that was safe or not, or if that was enough space. And so I pulled it up at the exact same scale, and I did Teacher's Pet, where my daughter goes to preschool. And the space for Teacher's Pet that is used for drop-off that I've been going to for the past 7 years is actually less than the space behind that building. And they have 120 students, and it is, the drop-off takes place between 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., no, 6 a.m. and about 9 a.m. So it is 120 students spaced over 3 hours, and then it's nothing, and then it's from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. And so all 5 daycare directors said that wasn't an issue at all.
Ms. Robinson?
Applicant, has DHS reviewed your building?
Yes, ma'am, they have.
Okay, and they have approved it?
They have already approved it, and I've turned in documents previously to you guys.
Ms. Ross?
So where are the employees going to park?
I have also obtained another property that adjourns straight across the street, 1800, that entire block from Esther Chung. So that would be an option as well.
Would you remove the building that's currently there, or?
No,
Is
it's already been, there are two lots behind it. One of them is paved, one of them are not, and we have the entire property.
Oh, okay, so that's new, I didn't know, okay.
Okay.
Where are we?
We've got a motion to suspend the reading, one reading.
Can I make a motion to suspend the rest of the readings?
Yes, you can. There you go. Let's
I'd
let me get
prefer to
through
hear
this
from
and
Steve
come back
Baxter,
to it.
Councilmember Baxter first.
Let me go ahead and get suspended, and then I'll come to Mr. Baxter.
Motion to suspend all the readings.
Second.
So do you want to go ahead and do that
Let me-
before Councilmember Baxter?
No, I want to go ahead and suspend, but let me go ahead and get him right now.
Okay.
Because we got a motion. Mr. Baxter?
Okay, so one of the concerns I had was the issue with the parking in the front. There is no way to ingress those 10 parking spaces because Mr. Ray has the cable across what is truly, the side of his property, whether that's above board or not.
Sure.
You can't go down the angle parking space area up to the parallel there. So that's been addressed with the additional parking across the street, right? The other question I had was, as it relates to the egress in the event of a fire away from the building as required in the legislation, that puts you either into the alley or into the neighbor's yard. How is that addressed? And that may be a fire marshal question. I don't know.
Marshall here.
Is that, okay, Sean,
So
is that safe?
That question is just for the playground, and to make sure you got to have the direct access from the building to the playground so the kids aren't going outside down the alley. And then if there's a fire in the building or something happening in the building, there has to be a secondary exit from the playground that's away from the building. So somewhere on the alley or on the north side where those 5 parking spots will be a gate that only open from the inside for emergency exit.
Okay.
So where is this cable running? Is it in the front?
knew.
In between the 10
Gosh
spots and the
almighty.
others.
There's a barber shop down there, and he has put a cable up on the south part of his property between him and another gentleman.
Okay.
And
Right there, right along
he's
the
actually run the
yellow line.
cable along the south part of his property from Pike Avenue all the way back to the front door of this other man's property, or this property.
He said right
Does that
there.
make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
it does, but it doesn't.
I know. Again, so back to, let's talk about hers, if you don't mind. So where are we on this right now?
We have a motion and a second to suspend the readings.
Ms. Ross?
Okay, one more question, and I think Chris Wilbur's
Yes,
here.
ma'am.
So I know with Custom XM, we had the same problem. It was blocked off, and then also that home, they're blocked off. They can't get to theirs. That's why they can get the alley. As far as adding another drive, Chris? As far as adding another drive, I know that this goes back to Tim Marvin, that's how long ago it was, that he wouldn't let us put another driveway for Custom XM because of the intersection there. So.
My
do you think that
recommendation,
there would be-
if we put a driveway, is to put it on Pike, not on 18th.
Well, I know, and that's what I'm saying. He wouldn't let us back then because he said it was too close to the intersection to put a driveway right there.
No.
So you think there's plenty of room now? New
You're
city
putting the
engineer.
driveway on Pike, yes. If you're putting it on 18th, no.
Well, there's already an exit there off of 18, right? No?
That's a curb.
Okay, okay.
So,
Mr. Taylor, go. Yes,
so
sir.
help me to understand something. So, because this is really confusing me. You mean to tell me, is that truly a cross-access easement
Yes.
from,
I cannot, I tried to get the information from the highway department
I went back to.
that says that, for when they built the interstate through there. But they could not reproduce those records.
they probably burned them.
Well,
That's a joke. Go ahead.
but when they widen, when they do improvements like on Pike, they cannot isolate businesses, and they don't do that. And a good example of that would be Park Hill up on JFK, where there's a bunch of driveways, but there's also cross-access
Yeah,
easements.
so that would be like over at McCain where we have the restaurants, Purple Cow and
Sure. Exactly.
and all of a sudden Tacos for Life says, okay, we're gonna put up a cable so you can't drive through here. So what do we, if they do that, what do we do? Nothing?
Civil matter.
The one thing on those properties is the buildings are connected. It's like the chamber connected to the little row of buildings
Yeah.
over here.
Right.
So years ago, when that one little driveway was there, Mr. Strack has talked to me about this, is why I know. That was the access used for all those office fronts.
Yeah.
Storefronts.
Sure. So the cable was put up Debbie, I don't know how long ago, not that long ago.
It was put up
And,
last year.
It's both on the north and south side of his property. He's like cutting off his property.
Yeah.
And so it. we haven't
Let's
been
get to the,
able
let's get to, I don't, that's another animal, if you don't
Yes,
mind. I
another
apologize,
issue.
but let's,
I just wanted to know if she could put another drive in.
so, the question is, where are we right now? We're on the,
We're ready to call the roll on suspending the readings.
I'm ready. Y'all ready?
I go.
Ross? Ross?
I have concerns, but I have trust in you that you're going to make this work, so I'm going to vote yes. Okay.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Suspending the readings, Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
So move.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay. Are you ready for me to call the roll on the motion to adopt? Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
Okay.
Congratulations. Thank you.
02266, council members Taylor and Robinson.
Please call it.
An ordinance granting a special use to allow an assisted living facility within an R4 zone for property located at 720 North Pine Street in the city of North Little Rock, first reading.
Move to suspend all readings.
Ross?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adopt?
Second.
I've got a question.
Yes, Ms. Ross?
Okay, so it says the maximum clients to be served at this location is 3 persons. And then when you go to 4, wait, where is this one? Hold up, it is 4.II. Then it says there cannot be more than 5 persons receiving care if there are care recipients not capable of self-preservation. So, I don't know, is it 3 or 5?
There he is.
So one is a fire code and one is the assisted living department DHS rule.
Okay.
So we've
it's
listed
the
both
3.
rules. It's going to be the smaller one that we go with.
Okay, I didn't want to come back and say, well, the fire marshal said
Fire
we
marshal,
could have.
yes,
Fire
yes.
marshal's here.
I
You
didn't want
okay
to
with
come back and say,
that?
the fire marshal said we can have 5, so we're going to have 5, so it's 3.
So he's listed the rule as it is in the book.
Okay, is the applicant here?
Pardon?
Is the applicant here?
Applicant here?
You want,
Nope.
The applicant not here?
I got questions for him.
Andre Elliott? Nope.
I got questions.
it's y'all's call.
They didn't come?
That's right, until they show up,
Mayor, real quick question for the city attorney.
we're gonna hold it.
He can still ask the city attorney something. Go ahead.
Okay, in item 3, must maintain active supervision of the facility. Is that a hands-on or is that an employee?
That is, the way that I read it, it's one of them. You know, because it doesn't say Andre Elliott, or Patricia Elliott, or their